book, Our Daily Bread. The title of the chapter is Deep Water, and it's based on Luke chapter 5, verse 4. Before we begin, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Kardec Radio for opening up spaces just like this one for conversations about Spiritism and about the gospel. Kardec Radio is available in several platforms, including the X platform, formerly known as Twitter. They also have their own app where you can have access to podcast style of presentations. Before we begin, I'd like to say our initial prayer and thank the Lord for all the enlightenment that is being provided to us, all the experiences, both pleasurable and sometimes inconvenient, because they all teach us to become better people, to become stronger, and to learn more. May God's peace be with us regardless of where we are in whatever situation we might be right now. So be it. Thank you. So again, today we're going to be covering chapter 21 of the book, Our Daily Bread. And again, it's based on Luke 5, chapter 5, verse 4, which reads as follows. When he had finished speaking, he said to Simon, "Put out into deep water and let down the nets for a catch." So this is kind of an interesting situation. Jesus was preaching by the lake, and it was kind of hard because there was a large crowd of people gathering around him. So it was hard for him to continue preaching. So he asked to board into Peter's boat. Actually, he was still Simon. That was before Jesus gave him the nickname Peter. So he hopped into Simon's boat, and so that he would be further away from the shore. As he was preaching, and by the way, the acoustics was great. People could hear Jesus much, much better from the lake. The sound waves were spreading in different directions. So as he was doing that, Peter was cleaning his net. And Peter was a bit distraught because he hadn't caught anything. So Jesus tells him, go ahead and throw the net into deep waters. And as Peter did that, he was able to catch lots of fish. So this is a very interesting passage. Of course, there are some important points here. First of all, we see here that Jesus's message is spreading, and people are gaining interest in his ideas. Also, we see here the first, Peter had already met Jesus before, but it was still some initial contacts with Peter. One of Jesus' major disciples, and it is said that also Andrew was in the boat, depending on the account that you read. So, but regardless, of course, there was a crowd gathering. We see some initial contacts with disciples, and we see here what could be referred as a feat by Jesus, what we would call colloquially as a miracle, because he is able to instruct Peter, who is a fisherman, where to get fish or to get more fish. This is interesting because Jesus was not a fisherman. That was not his specialty by physical standards. He was specialized in building. Jesus is referred at times as a tecton. Tecton comes from, it's a Greek word for a builder. So more like a mason. So he knew, in theory, he was not the specialist. The specialist was Peter, but then he instructs Peter to conduct his, to perform his professional activities in a particular manner, and it works out. So we see here a feat by Jesus, but the most important, sometimes we're so concerned about the phenomena that we overlook the true message. Because what Jesus told Peter was throw into deep waters. And interestingly enough, Emmanuel explains to us that this verse, this is per Emmanuel's words, this verse leads us to meditate over the companions in the battle who feel as though they had been abandoned in the human experience. So in this particular case here, we see that probably Peter was distraught. He was frustrated because he was not being successful doing his perform his professional duty, which was fishing. And a lot of times we feel like, wait, not, I'm not just referring from the professional standpoint, but especially in life as general. And Emmanuel here further describes that sensation as a disquieting sensation of loneliness that breaks into the heart. So a lot of times we feel like that. We feel that we are trying to do everything right. We're doing our best, and we're not getting the results that we need, or things are not coming out the way we hope they would again. And this is a very good metaphor of Peter fishing, or trying to catch fish unsuccessfully. So we go through that a lot of times, of course, of course, in our professional careers, but that's just one aspect of our lives. There are so many aspects. Sometimes a lot of times in our families, we try to do our best, and apparently things are not working out. We're not getting the fruits, apparently the fruits of our efforts. And that also expands into our relationships. Sometimes we think that we're being so nice, we're being so dedicated to someone who we love, and apparently that person is not corresponding to all of our efforts, to all of our care. And also in our missions, be as spiritists, or as anyone who's trying to do what's right, who's trying to do good for the world. A lot of times we might feel also frustrated because we do not see things working out the way we'd expected, and we do not see even sometimes some recognition. I know we're talking about in very mundane terms, but a lot of times we do not see a recognition by others of our efforts. Sometimes, on the contrary, we see criticism despite our best efforts. And Emmanuel continues here that they believe, so us, right? Us. They believe that destiny reserved the cup of infinite bitterness for them. So again, when we're in situations like that of frustration, of depression, and so we think, wow, this is an infinite cup of bitterness. I mean, this is, why is it everything always goes wrong with me? I try my best. I try to be a good person. I try to be a good father. I try to be a good professional. I try to be a good spiritist, and things do not turn out the way I want to. So we think, oh my gosh, this is an infinite cup of bitterness. I mean, everything always goes wrong. And we think, and then Emmanuel continues here, they recall with remorse the days of early infancy and youth, of the hopes destroyed in the conflicts of the world. Of course, when we're younger, we see life in a more, most of us see life in a more colorful way. And as we grow older, as we get in contact with the world, and we have experience now, sometimes when we're going through a situation like this of frustration, we only focus on the negative, and we forget also to focus on the good that might be happening to us. Sometimes the good more than outweighs the unpleasant situation. But again, we only have eyes to see the negative side of things. And unfortunately, that's who we are as humans. And Emmanuel continues here. Intimately, they experience each minute a vague confusion of the reminiscences that increase their feeling of emptiness. Again, when we have this sensation that, hey, I had so many hopes for whatever projects I wanted to do. So all mortals, and Emmanuel explained, he said that all mortals, everybody who is here on earth experiences those bitter hours. I mean, of course, that's no news for any of us. We do go through situations like that. situations that are not easy, these moments of frustration, of even sometimes of despair, again, because in our eyes, things are not working out the way we expected them to. Emmanuel continues here, if someone has not yet lived with a particular place on the path, let him wait his turn, because generally each spirit leaves the flesh when the cold signs of winter multiply around him. So again, these are part of experiences of us here on planet Earth. It is part of the process of being reincarnated that we go through this. We encounter these moments of frustration, these moments of pain that we have to live through, and everybody has to go through those. It's part, again, it's part of our process of betterment, of our process of learning. Emmanuel continues his explanation, reminding us that so when your moment of difficulty arises, be convinced that it is to come to your soul the days of service in deep waters. This is very interesting. The time to search for true values without incentives or certain illusions from the earthly experience. If you feel that you are alone, that you're abandoned, remember that beyond the grave, there are companions who will assist you and wait for you lovingly. So this is there's an interesting saying. Somebody attributed it to Einstein, but it is an anecdotal account that it is apparently, again, is attributed to Einstein, that if you're doing, if you know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, the same way, and expecting different results. So this applies here because if I'm going through a situation, if I'm applying myself, if I'm applying myself, I'm putting a lot of effort into a particular action, and the outcomes are not as expected. So Jesus, in here where the depth of the passage by Luke, that when it comes to play. So if I've been doing things in a certain way, regardless of what they are, and I'm not getting the expected results, it is time to dig into, not to dig, but to throw our net into deep water. It is the time of reflection, and not deep waters meaning in outside, but actually going inside, digging deeper into ourselves and verify from our end what could be going wrong. If it is in a professionally speaking, if we are frustrated, what is it that I need to improve? What are the gaps in my skills that I need to overcome? If it's in our families, if I'm trying so hard and I'm not getting recognition, what is it actually? Maybe I am being too demanding from those around me. Maybe I am overstepping my actions. Maybe maybe it is my ego. Maybe my ego is so inflated in that situation that I think that I'm so important, so indispensable to my family, that I'm not recognizing the values of other individuals. So those are just examples. In the family, in the relationship, again, a relationship works out when all the parties involved in the relationship are happy. So if I'm giving everything that I have in a relationship and I'm not getting anything in return from the other individual, it might be that the other individual has other expectations. Or maybe that other individual is also giving her or his best as well, and we're not recognizing that. So again, those are just examples. The bottom line is, again, according to Emmanuel, in moments like this, in moments of frustration, moments when things are not turning out as we would expect them to, those are moments of actually for us to reflect and try to analyze deep inside of us, what is it that I'm doing right that I should continue doing? What is it that I'm doing wrong that I should fix? And what is it that I could improve or actually do differently? And of course, Emmanuel reminds us here that nobody's alone. So even if I feel alone here on earth, even if I feel alone as I'm going through experiences, which is very plausible. Unfortunately, the way we live here on earth, whenever we're going through tough times, a lot of times our friends are not there for us. We should not expect others to, we do not control others. We do not control how others might behave in certain circumstances. We can only have control over ourselves. So if we're feeling despair, if we're feeling lonely, we should never forget that in the spiritual world, everybody has so many friends. Everybody has so many support, so much support. Even if we feel that on earth, when nobody's here for us, we should never forget that we at least have our spiritual protector, what some other religious belief systems refer to as a guardian angel. There's at least one big friend who's there. And that's where the power of prayer comes into play, because prayer opens up, when we pray, we we go beyond our earthly suffering and we connect or reconnect with our spiritual benefactors. And that's the best moment for them to inspire us, to comfort us, to make us feel better, and to inspire us with positive ideas, and sometimes even with solutions or plausible solutions for our situations. And Emmanuel finalizes here, indicating that the father never leaves his children neglected. Therefore, if you find yourself at present without domestic ties, without true friends in the transitory landscape of the planet, it is because Jesus Christ has sent you into deep waters of the experience in order to test your conquests in supreme lessons. So again, just because we are having this feeling of hopelessness does not mean that we're actually without hope, that there is no way out. And if we're going through that, and again, if we're going through those experiences and we're feeling alone, we're never alone. We have our spiritual friends who are always around us and always trying to help us. And most importantly, it is again a time for us to reflect. It is a time for us to analyze the things that I could be doing better, things that I'm doing wrong that I need to fix, and especially, and also even the things that I'm doing right, that I should continue working on. And a lot of times also, sometimes we should recognize, and again, going back to our earthly situation, that maybe if our friends are not with us in moments of trouble, maybe we need to look for different friends. Yeah, I'm just saying, sometimes that means they're not true friends. Maybe we're looking for friends in the wrong places. And maybe there's some other individuals that could be better qualified to be part of a circle of friends. And that extends also to our spiritual friends as well. So again, here comes again the power of prayer, who helps us to connect with the true spiritual friends who can really help us and give us strength in those difficult moments. So this is our conversation for today. I hope you enjoy it. And if you like it, make sure you click the little subscribe button and the little bell button so you got additional notifications from Kardec Radio. And again, I want to thank Kardec Radio again for the opportunity to be here. If you have any questions or comments about either this presentation or any other segments in Kardec Radio, you can contact them. You can ask questions and comments using the X platform for that matter, for that purpose. In this moment, let's close our eyes and thank the Lord for so many great things that He provides to us, especially those moments when we have to reach deeper in our souls, those moments of reflection and inflection where we need to look inside of ourselves and try to understand what is it that I need to evolve? What are my shortcomings that I need to work on? Each one has his or her individual path. Each one of us is responsible for his or her improvement. So let's keep always moving forward and always taking steps forward toward the light, toward our betterment. Even those moments of uncertainty, even those moments are important for us. So let's celebrate even those circumstances as well, because they do have an impact for us, and they can be truly beneficial if we can collect the correct messages and teachings from each of those circumstances. May God's love be with us today and always. So be it.